Production. In the mix. With the commish, Nate.
Good afternoon and welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show for the world's longest online CFM in the whole wide world. Thank you for being with me. I see the chats already popping. We got Outlaw in there. We got Denver in there to talk some mess. I'm finding food on my freaking pullover. What am I doing today? Listen, it has been a heck of a Monday for me already. Brand new dentist, went for a cleaning. He's like, oh, come back and see me on Monday. Yeah, no big deal. Come back and see him on Monday. Unexpected dental work. And now, number one, I didn't feel my face for half the day. Probably going to still slobber on myself here. Number two, now that I'm starting to feel my face, it don't feel good. So I'm going to be real quiet today. Let me bring in a whole round table of fellas today. That's right. We're doing something different. It's the playoffs. It's time to bring in all the guys. Let's give it a talk. I got Mr. Maniac here hanging out with us. He's been part of tons of content recently. I have loved the content in season 104. We got Mr. Big Herd of your Chicago Bears fighting for his playoff lives. And then got, as always, Mr. Trey of your Detroit Lions. Fellas, how you doing today on a Monday?
Doing great.
I'm doing well, even after my butt kicking last night.
I mean, I survived my birthday yesterday, so we're good.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, I asked him how his Monday was going. He's like, first official day of 27. I'm like, get the hell out of here with that. I can't even remember what life was like at 27. We swapped back to the old lens here, camera lens here, just because this is a much better lens than the old widescreen one. But tell me what you think about the look. We're kind of messed with the lights all weekend, trying to move some things around. I feel like we got the audio kind of tuned in really sharp. We're going to play some music in the background here. And before we get out of here, we will open up the OMFL mailbag and see. There's already 3 or 4 questions out there. I think the guys got some good questions for us. Guys, we're just hanging out today, all right? A bunch of us sitting around a bar table having whatever adult beverage. For me, it is water that you so choose on a Monday afternoon, talking some OMFL playoffs because they're here. We're in week number 17, 16 or 7. What are we in? 16. And we have 18 weeks.
That is correct.
So we got 3 more weeks to go here. 3 more games by a lot of us as we kind of wrap things up. So hopefully by the time we get to you next Monday, we will be starting the playoffs and have some playoff games to recap. So we're just kind of talking playoffs here. Let's talk AFC. My guy Denbrew is always taking a crap on me about not enough respect, though. Trey, you've been here the longest. I feel like we've been giving some respect to our friends over at the AFC so far.
Yeah, they've earned it this year. A lot of them stepped up. I think bringing Kobe in raised everybody because they knew there was a level that they had to compete at in order to make it to the OMFL Bowl. I think it's a good thing.
Here's an idea, Denbrew. Don't start out 3-6 or whatever you crazily started out. Maybe the AFC will continue to get the respect that y'all so deserve. Let's talk playoffs, fellas. What do we think about the wild card? Maybe one of you, I know that Bill does such a great job. Let me see if I can pull that up really quick. Bill keeps us in the loop of these playoff standings. Right now, in the AFC, this is what Bill is showing. There's, of course, all of the games left here, but AFC, the number 1 seed is the Jets. Number 2 seed, the Bengals. Those look pretty sewed up, even though the Browns may be right teetering on the edge there. Chiefs at 9-5. Texans, they made it. We've been talking about them for a while. They're sitting at 8-6, number 4 seed. Browns 10-4, Bills 10-4, Ravens 8-5. Those are all the ones that are in, still alive. Colts and Cincyberg 8-6, Dolphins 7-7, Chargers at 6-8. Guys, who makes it into the wild card round of the AFC?
I have to assume that it's a guarantee that you're going to see Bill and Denver in there at least.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would disagree with that. I think Bill definitely and Denver definitely are going to be two of the wild card spots, unless Denver can, get an upset, tip the teeter, and take over the AFC North, and then Little Koch would be, probably that spot. But regardless, you're going to see an AFC North person in that one wild card spot, and then Bill. I think Kobe's at a 2-game lead. They do play this week, so it would pretty much be like an epic meltdown by Kobe if he did lose to Bill. Not that that's the meltdown, but he would have to have a meltdown following that game for Bill to come back and take the East. So I got Denver as it stands and Bill as it stands, and then that third spot, I really do think it's probably going to stay the Ravens. The only thing that I can see changing would be that 4th seed Texans Colts. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I know I got the Texans tonight, and Colts have a couple tough games this last couple weeks, and even to close out the season. So that would be the only change I could see flip-flopping back and forth.
Look, I love what Cincy's done with the Colts over there, but that was a tough loss against the Jets, and it's like he was right there. He was making a push. Jets get the big interception. He loses Jonathan Taylor. I don't know exactly how long he's lost him, but you've got a team struggling.
For 3 weeks.
Ooh, that's tough, right? You got a team struggling. He had a tough game. You said he's got a couple tough games, whereas the Texans, they're kind of on a bit of a hot streak here, man. I like the Texans.
Yeah, the race for 7th is interesting because Colts are going Jaguars, Bears, Packers. The Texans, let me pull it up, have the Bears, Eagles, Jaguars, and the Ravens honestly have the hardest schedule of the 3, having Falcons, Giants, Browns.
Yeah, I think the wild card there in the OMFL. I'm sorry, I'm going to butt in here. I think it's really interesting, like you said, with the last seed. A couple weeks ago, it looked like the Colts had the South locked down on. No way, no how the Texans can come back, and then all of a sudden here we have the Texans in the lead, and now the Colts fighting for their playoff lives, and that's an interesting fact that how even in Madden injuries and things can affect you so much coming into like the end of a season, a playoff race.
I don't see Cincy losing to the Jags or the Packers. I just think week 18, the Packers, the pressure is going to be on him, even if he's in the playoff race and if he doesn't have anything to play for. Because if he's been knocked out by that, come that time, I should say. I just think since he's going to have a little bit more to play for, and since he usually plays pretty well in those bigger games, bearing that he does not have like a major loss. And I think, like I said, I think it's the last 3 games Jonathan Taylor has been out. That's just been really like a tough find for him on offense because he's relying on a rookie running back or a second-year running back, but it's not Jonathan Taylor. So you turn to the pass game, and then it's just you become one-dimensional. Whereas all year where you saw the Colts, they had Jonathan Taylor 1 or 2 in the rushing race title, and then you had Michael Thomas at the top in receiving. And that's just too much of a 1-2 punch. But then when you lose one of those guys, it's just tough.
Yeah, anytime you take a 99 overall guy and you take him out of your offensive playbook, I mean, that's huge. That's big.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and Jonathan Taylor is back off the injury list, so he does get him back now going forward. So that's going to be a big gain back for him. But like I said, I think he's got the Jags and the Packers, and then I think our game's a coin flip, honestly. Between me and Cincy, it's just going to be what team shows up for me and, limiting mistakes. And, I guess still cliche saying, but, my team that played the Cowboys, quarterback couldn't hit anything, defense just, but that's just the nature of the game. So, I see Cincy probably going at least 2-1 or 3-0 to finish out the year, and then Roger with the Texans. Again, just depends on what team shows up tonight when I play Roger. But then he's got the Jags and the Eagles, and I think he wins those. So like I said, it could come down to basically the Texans or the Colts, how they do versus me, I guess.
What about the Ravens? Like if you watched his last stream, my dude just like no care in the world. He was having so much fun. Just I don't know that he cares.
I see the Ravens like being in the thick of things, but I just don't know that he's 100% plugged in. I mean, he's playing his games, but I don't know that he's 100% plugged in. And he's got 2 games that are gonna like they're not gonna take him lightly. Like the Browns and the Giants are he's gonna have to buckle in and be 100% plugged in to win one of those games right now, and I don't see that happening. With that being said, that puts him at 8-7-1. If he wins the other game, that puts him at 9 wins. Then it really just kind of depends on how the Colts and the Texans play out for the rest of the season. The advantage that he has is that tie, because that can, in the standings, is considered like a half a win.
Yeah, that tie is going to be the key. If he needs 2 wins. If he's got 2 wins, he's in. Then it's just going to be the Colts. And
what do we think about the NFC? We got the Lions playing the Panthers tonight. I feel like that might be the only team that even has any type of hope to kind of maybe sneak in here. The NFC feels kind of solidified over here.
Don't discredit my fellow North members, thank you. They're all 7-7 with the Panthers as well.
Yeah,
I know that, but
hot streak.
I would say, not that I think the Panthers are going to be the team that gets a wild card spot, but I feel like right now, according to Madden, it's Green Bay. I need to go. Let me quickly tell you who Bill has. Bill currently has.
He has
come on.
me in, but
That's
I
right.
don't think that's accurate, because
Cowboys, Giants, Bears are in. Packers 7-7, Panthers 7-7. Look, Cardinals, Bucks, Seahawks, Rams, they're all in it, but I don't think that they are. Packers, Panthers, Bears.
The way I've been looking at it, and I've kind of been looking at things in and out here lately, is we're basically, the 3 of us are tied wins, so it's going to come down to head-to-head. The Panthers did not play the Packers or the Bears, so the head-to-head is gone. And then for that scenario, the Packers and I split. So then it's going to come down to conference NFC wins, which gets really sticky, because going into last night, I was 5-5. Lost to the Cowboys puts me at 5-6. And as of right now, yeah, I'm 5-6 in the NFC. The Packers and the Panthers are both 5-5. So I've got 2 AFC games, Texans and Colts, and then I got the Vikings. But obviously at 6-6, But then if the Panthers win one of those games, and then the Packers win one of those NFC games, then we're tied there. Then I think it goes to, I want to say divisional, but I don't know if it's divisional or if it's maybe common opponents or points for, depending on how Madden does it. But however it gets, it's going to come down to like a 3rd, 4th, 5th tiebreaker type of thing. So
yeah, there's so many variables. I truly think like the Packers have a harder schedule. Maybe it's just because I'm just looking at the daddy leagues and on the outside, not knowing exactly all the integral parts of each owner. But I think the Packers have a little bit difficult road ahead of them, and I think the Panthers right now are just so hot. I think he's kind of maybe figured a couple things out. I don't know. That's just from the games I've watched, and he's got the Chargers, and then he's got who else is he playing?
Packers have their Niners, the Rams, and the Colts.
Ooh.
The Panthers have the Lions, the Cardinals, and the Chargers. And the Bears have the Texans, the Colts, and the Vikings.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit more difficult.
I like the Bears.
I think. I'm kind of going with the Panthers. I know the Bears. Big hurt in the Bears. I've seen them have like a tremendous, offensive output, and defense seem like to show up, but it just seems like in the thick of things, his team is just kind of wilted and withered, and I don't know if it's the. I know it's not the coach, but, because I've played him enough to know that, he knows the X's and O's, but it just seems like his team, for whatever reason, just seems to fold when it comes to big games.
What do we think about the Commanders? My guy Penguins has been gone for quite some time. He's got a bit of a suspension, even though I don't think it's that big of a deal. He's got plenty of receivers and playmakers. Do we think that Washington's going to be able to just pick the sticks back up here in the last 3 games and find their rhythm again?
Let's see where I think what exactly is this suspension right now? Is that the Gesicki? If I remember right? No?
I think so.
That is correct.
So,
he's got a tough
the Commanders definitely obviously going out of town. It's unfortunate that he had to go out of town, but just the timing of things, it was unfortunate because he was really leading the charge of the NFC East there. And then when he went out of town, it kind of opened the door for Colin. Colin got Dwayne. Now Dwayne's gotten hot, and now it's a 3-way tie at 9-5, which is very interesting for these last 3 weeks. I think Penguins' team is so dynamic from having 2 running backs that could start on pretty much almost any team, and Aaron Jones and Dalvin Cook. He's got the depth at receiver that a lot of teams are looking for. With Terry McLaurin, Sutton, Dotson, even Dynami Brown, the younger guys, serviceable. But his backup tight end, Jeffrey Roth or Brock Wright, is going to have to step up because Gesicki is a mismatch problem. Obviously being, a bigger body guy, 6'6", something like that, just and as athletic as he is, that really, I think it's his X factor. And coming back in, he's going to have to plug right in and not have any hiccups, especially with, the way things are. The biggest thing is going to be the schedule for those 3, which I'm going to pull up real quick.
He's got Cowboys, Lions, and Buccaneers for Commanders.
Ooh.
So, the Commanders having...
Cowboys
the first 2 games, Cowboys are as hot as they've been all year right now. And the Lions are, we all know what Trey's capable of, especially in the regular season, and right now playing for seeding purposes. And then the Cowboys, Commanders, Bucks, Steelers. That's definitely a more favorable schedule, having the Steelers rather than the Lions. And then you look
Eagles,
at the Giants.
Ravens, Bengals.
Yeah, Eagles, Ravens, Bengals. And, that would be a tough schedule. But again, we just talked about it, I just don't know if Nip was 100% plugged in. So, I definitely give Dwayne the edge on the schedule for the last 3 games. But the biggest game is going to be that head-to-head matchup, Commanders-Cowboys.
Yeah. I feel Commanders... The winner of the Cowboys and Commanders, I think, has full control of the NFC East. They just need to keep pace.
Yeah, the Commanders come back, and guess what their prize is? They get to play the Cowboys first off, so a red-hot Dwayne is, so hard to play. He's just, in the last couple of games I've watched, he is just, defensively on fire. Just seems to be shutting down anybody and everybody that he's played. And just doing it in a just dominating fashion. And so, yeah, that's tough. If Penguins can come back and just come out of the gates swinging and somehow pull off that, what I would consider now as an upset victory over Red Hot Dwayne, I think that propels him right on into the playoffs, possibly getting him deep into the playoffs.
You know, and as we're talking about Dwayne here, I think the biggest thing for me is coming off of the game last night, playing him. I know what Dwayne's MO is, and that's let's run the ball, right? Let's set the tempo. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to make teams, you know, and then make teams play the run, stack that box, and then it's, you know, the one-on-one outside receivers or tight end play. Well, I thought I was going in with a pretty good game plan, which, I mean, I feel like I can set up a pretty good game plan, especially on the defensive side. Dwayne had me so off guard last night, and Dak threw for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And, I mean, he was just throwing the ball to – and it wasn't like, you know, 7 targets or 7 receptions for, you know, a Michael Thomas type of numbers, but Gallup had a big play. Dalton Schultz had a big play. CeeDee Lamb had a couple catches that were big. Bass had like a 41-yard catch. So it wasn't like – to me, it's hard to defend 4 or 5 guys that are capable of getting a big play, 30, 40 yards. And when you're worried about the run game and he's got the depth of the run game and then throws the ball for 230 yards with no flaws, like, I mean, unlike my quarterback was like overthrowing things, missing the open receiver. Dak was on the spot, hitting his guys, and, you know, and when Dwayne's got that going for him, and then you got that defense with the 2 athletic edge rushers and the 2 big boys in the middle of the D-line, like, plus he's got a good secondary, and then he plays so well as middle linebacker. We just were talking about that. Like, when he's on passing the ball, like, good luck. That team is very difficult to play.
Here's the difference. This is where the game might affect differently. Your defensive line compared to Penguins' defensive line is very different. Penguins and Wayne essentially have the same defensive line. It's creepy. And yeah. I believe I looked at it. He's going to be without his right tackle for that game. So you're giving Chase Young or Montez Sweat a free shot at a backup. That's going to be tough to overcome.
I agree, but I mean, he took 3 sacks versus me. It wasn't like my D-line was non-existent, and he was still as efficient. And, you know, like, that's just the thing I'm saying is, like, Dwayne plays that game, runs the ball, takes his 50, 60 yards with Zeke, hands the ball off 10 times to Mostert, and even in the ground game, like, he had a run where it was a stretch play. I sealed the edge. He stops, cuts it back, gets a great block by Zach Martin, and then bounces it back outside for a 20-some yard touchdown. And it was like, I mean, as frustrated as I was, and I went back and looked at that play on the little highlights, I'm like, you got to tip your cap, because he just runs the ball and makes the right cutback and is so patient, and then makes another cutback and opens up that run for a touchdown. And when he's running the ball like that and can pass the ball like that, you're going to slow the rush down. What you don't want is to become one-dimensional, and that's not what he's about. I do agree that his D-line with the Commanders is one of the best, but I just, like I said, I think Dwayne's playing. He's, you know, and we all know you take a little break, go on vacation, you come back, you know, your fingers aren't, you know, and your eyesight, all that stuff isn't in tune to playing Madden, and your first game is a hot Dwayne. It's not. Definitely. It's just not something I would want to have on my schedule.
And throwing it back to their Week 8 match, Penguins had 3 guys go over 100 yards. One of those guys was Mike Gesicki.
Yeah. He does, for Penguins, he does have 3 games. I know this is a pivotal matchup, but he does have 3 games to kind of get back in the role here. All right, when we come back, we're going to pause right here for some OMFL news. Our guy, Mr. Tony Bono, did get us some news last week, but it was right before we started the show, so we saved it for this week. It'll be a little dated, but it's okay. When we come back from the Tony Bono first news, we're going to break down each of these matchups. I want you guys to give me a winner, and the way we're going to do that is I'm going to tell you what Madden is saying the matchup is today. You tell me if that is incorrect, and then who wins that matchup between 2-7, 3-6, 4-5 in each of the conferences. We'll be right back. Next up, Tony Bono.
What is up, sports fans, and in particular, OMFL sports fans? It's the OMFL News with Tony Bono here on Press Pass Live. And let's get to our first segment, shall we? No wasting time today. Our rookie spotlight. And we've got a couple of new rookies to talk about. Actually, 3 rookies, but you'll find out here in a moment what I'm talking about. First off, we're going to go up to the Motor City and Detroit and take a look at Nicholas Pritchett, quarterback number 2. Mr. Trey, we're talking about your quarterback. And he has had a stellar season so far. He has passed 299 times, completed 185 at a 62% completion percentage, 2,862 yards, 9.6 average, 26 touchdowns, has been sacked 24 times, 15 interceptions, and that all-important fantasy point rating of 186 for you OMFL fantasy fans. And now let's get on to the next one, and we're going to talk about the Browns backfield. Yes, the Cleveland Browns have come back from nowhere, from the dead, shall we say, and have come to life. And it has to fall on these 2 guys' shoulders, I believe, that has helped the resurgence of the Cleveland Browns in Denver. We're going to talk first about Spencer McGee, halfback number 35. He has a 78 overall rating, and he has carried the ball 135 times, 536 yards, 4.0 yard average, 22 is long, but he's got 6 touchdowns and 89 fantasy points so far on the season. And not to be outdone, though, his fellow rookie, 76 overall. Both these guys are young. They're going to be dominating for a long time. Dylan McCook, halfback number 32. He has 94 attempts, 329 yards, 3.5 yard average, 17 long, 5 touchdowns, and he has 64 fantasy points. Pretty sure he's not on anybody's fantasy team, but the guy's also producing along with his fellow guy in the backfield here. So, what a 1-2 punch there in Cleveland for the Browns. All right, Nate, back to you. We'll be back after this.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Bono. Thank you for the OMFL News. We got 2 more segments. We'll get it out with Mr. Tony Bono. All right, here's how we're going to do this, guys. 2 minutes per game. So keep your comments as short as you can. I mean, I want you to talk, but let everybody have a chance to go here. We're going to start. I'm going to give you the seeds. I'll tell you what Madden is saying the matchup would be today. You tell me if it's incorrect, what the matchup would be, and then who is the winner coming out of that game, and any other comments you might have. Let's start with the NFC since we're over here. We're going 2 versus 7. Personally, I would love for this to be the matchup because I feel like I owe Priest. He always gets me in the regular season. I got Saints versus Packers 2-7. Let me know if you think that's incorrect. What would the matchup be and who is winning that game?
I think the 7th seed is incorrect, and I'm going to slate that to be the Panthers because I feel like their schedule is going to get them that 7th slot, and I would, going based on recent performances, give that one to the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 7th seed being the Panthers, and I actually have the Commanders at number 2. But that is wrong because I did not see that. The Saints were at 11 wins, so that would be...
Put some respect on those dudes' names, okay? Come on.
So that would be the Saints and the Panthers for me.
Who wins that one?
I'm going to go with the Saints. I think you've dominated the NFC South pretty much this whole Madden, and I think that'll continue on into the playoffs as well.
I do want to hear what your matchups are, but I think we could derail this 2 minutes easily by I don't want to play a guy a third time. Like playing someone 3 times in one season is so difficult in real life and in Madden. It feels impossible, man.
Yeah, I think the Panthers obviously are the hottest team of between the Panthers, Bears, and Packers. I do have faith that I can get my team rolling. So I'm gonna, for my own sake, put my Bears in there. And playing your Saints, I don't like that matchup at all. So definitely have the Saints winning, just because your defense, I feel like, would make Justin Fields' head turn around 20 times worse than it's been. So, yeah.
Well, I have no interest in facing your Bears either. You and I have got our classic NFC South battles when you used to be over here with the Buccaneers. I want Priest, man. I feel like I owe him. And it's a pro and con. Like, I like playing guys who air it out. And the pro is that you can get some interceptions. The con is they can just light up your secondary, but I like my secondary matchup. 3 versus 6 right now. Madden has it. Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants. Colin gets in there, and I got to be honest with y'all. I played him a couple of advances ago, whatever that was. It feels like a light year ago, but it was just a couple of days ago. His defense is so much better than what I expected to see. They're really, really good. If you don't like this matchup, tell me what the matchup is and who wins this one. I got to go with the Detroit Lions. I think he's red hot with his quarterback. He's figured some things out, as Trey normally does. I like the Detroit Lions come out of that. But, man, I really hope this is the matchup. Can you imagine these two quarterbacks going at it? The running backs go like this. Take the over in this game. Take the over.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think this would be a fun matchup to watch. I would definitely tune in. I think Trey's got one of the more potent offenses in the OMFL. And Colin has the potential from an offensive standpoint, mind-wise, can call a good game. His defense has been there. I think Colin is in one of the toughest divisions in the OMFL with the NFC East. And I'm going to stick with my in division. I think the Lions do pull this out. Even though Trey normally does very well in the regular season and then has struggled in the playoffs, I just think this is his year to, make some ground. He's got, the offense clicking well. And like I said, I think it's one of the most potent offenses that we have here at the MFL.
Well, I'll step in and say that is wrong for one part because, I had the Saints and the Commanders backflipped on mine. So I'm putting the Commanders in the 3rd spot facing off against the Giants here at the 6th seed.
Who wins that one, Maniac? Maniac trying to leave out these winners. I see what he's doing here.
Yeah. I shouldn't be afraid to make any enemies, right? I mean, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, what do you care?
I'm just gonna call it right now. Colin does not have what it takes. I believe. Again, we're gonna have a matchup with an NFC East opponent, and so obviously playing, like you said, playing 3 times is difficult, but. I think the Commanders by this time have gotten things back to where he was before and rolling for the playoffs. And I think he takes this one to the Giants and comes out victorious.
And here's where I shock everybody. Wayne, open your ears because you're going to be shocked by this the most. I have Wayne in the 3 seed versus Colin in the 6 seed. I just think Wayne's got too much momentum behind him not to swipe in and somehow sneak that 3rd seed from me. In terms of winning the games, Wayne's just too hot to not rule with.
That's going to go up on a YouTube short. Let's go to the next one. We got 4 versus 5. Right now, Madden is saying the Washington Commanders versus the Dallas Cowboys. I think that might flip-flop there. Who knows? I also don't want to do the math today. I think I'm still, woozy from all this medication they shot into my jaw earlier today. This would be a fun matchup, but I feel bad because I'm the commish, so I'm the guy that gets to hand out suspensions, and so I know that I did not make a friend in my friend Penguins when I had to hand out a suspension, and this isn't going to help that matter at all. I just think the Dallas Cowboys are the hottest team in the OMFL right now. That dude is just playing magnificent football, even though he also is not very happy with me right now. I like the Dallas Cowboys to win this one.
Well, I'm going to step in first this time, okay? So I'll get mine out of the way.
Give us a winner this time.
I've got the Lions at number 4. Trey, you have a potent offense. I watched some of your games. You have a potent offense, especially with that Williamson on the outside, man, the wide receiver. He's just he's Tyreek Hill-ish for your offense. So, but then I also have the buzzsaw coming in. That's hot, but I still have him coming in as the 5th seed. So you're going to be playing the Lions versus the Cowboys, which is going to be a tremendous matchup. I think it's going to be probably a barn burner, even though both of the Cowboys defense is I already gave him props for the defense being so awesome. I think your team matches up well against his defense, but I think with the efficiency of Dwayne's offense right now, I think he pulls this game out. But it's not going to be a defensive battle. I feel like it's going to be an offensive showing, and probably looking in like a 38-35 type of game.
Yeah, I have that set for a Week 17 rematch between me and Penguins to start the wild card off, and if anything comes to show with my playoff run with Penguins, I've lost in the conference final, the divisional. I've lost in the OMFL Bowl. I need to get one back on them in the wild card, so I'll give myself a little bit of confidence for that one.
I was looking at the breakdown here, and I have with Trey being 10-4 and the rest of the NFC East being 9-5, I do think Dwayne gets Penguins, takes over the East and wins the East, takes the 4 spot. I have Trey holding on to the 3 spot, even if he loses the Penguins in Week 17, which that's a coin flip game. I did look at the NFC East, the NFC records. Dwayne is 7-3 versus NFC. Currently, Trey is 7-2. So even if he lost to the Commanders, he would be tied with Dwayne there. Again, I just think Trey holds on to the 3 spot, which is why I picked him to beat Colin. I have Dwayne taking the 4, so it flips 4 versus 5. And I think as the Cowboys are the 4 seed, the Commanders are the 5th seed, that's really going to be a coin flip game. I personally, as many people have said, playing someone 3 times in one season is tough. I have Dwayne beating the Commanders this week, which means the Cowboys would be 2-0 against the Commanders this season.
1-1.
I thought Dwayne won the first one. Am I wrong on that?
Yep. Commanders won 40-33.
So I do have, regardless, playoff time, I do have the Commanders winning, and that would be the only upset I have in the first round. Even though it's not really much of an upset, it's 5-4, and they could be flip-flopped either way. But I have Dwayne winning the division and holding on to the 4 seed, Commanders 5 seed winning, and advancing on to play the Niners.
All right, let's go over there and look at the AFC. We'll run through these AFC matchups, and then we'll get to Tono Bono number 2. Right now, 2-7 shows the Bengals versus the Baltimore. I don't know why I couldn't spit that word out. The Baltimore Ravens. This would be a fun matchup. I'm going to just play it out. I don't know that Nipples. I'm interested to see what happens this week. So that's my disclaimer. Is Nipples plugged in, or is he just having a good time, just playing, and what happens, which seems to be the way he's playing this season. And it kind of goes on these streaks. I think like the Colts and Cincy Bird kind of like, he just has the like, I want this. I want to get there. But so does Massimo and his Miami Dolphins. Either way, whether it's the Colts, whether it's the Dolphins, whether it's Nipples and his Ravens, I like the Bengals to win this one. Little Koch seems to be on a tear this season. Give me the Bengals in his wild card matchup. What do you think, guys? What's happening over here in the AFC?
From a specific game, or we are just in general?
No, we're talking 2-7 matchup. Who's your 2-7 matchup and who wins that game?
Oh, I have my 2-7. Someone wants. I want to check one thing before I make that pick.
I've got my 2-7. It's going to be the Colts versus the Bengals, and I think the power run game is going to be the end of Little Koch's run.
Whoa!
I got the Colts pulling the upset.
That's interesting.
Another YouTube short.
I actually have the Colts and the Bengals also in that round, the two being the Bengals, the Colts being the number 7, and like I think you had made mention, Nate, whoever it is, if it's the Dolphins or whatever. I do believe the Dolphins, for some reason, kind of bring a mismatch. He seems like he's kind of found the deep ball, and I was watching one game. I don't remember who he was playing, but I mean, he was just like killing it with the deep ball with Tyreek Hill. But I don't think that I think you live by that, you're going to die by it eventually. And I don't think that he beats out the Colts. I think the Colts do get in. But with that said, Bengals versus Colts, I just think Little Koch is just, he's on point right now. And I think Cincy Bird and him will have a real close game. But I do believe that the Bengals are going to pull that one out in the end.
I heard there's no way that you pick against your boy, is there?
I was looking into the Bengals and the Browns, because I have the Browns upsetting the Bengals this week 17, I think it is. So then I was like, okay, well, that puts them both at 4 losses. And then how does the tiebreaker, which is what I was looking into. And Little Koch with the Bengals is 4-1 in division. Denver's 2-2, so he has 2 games left. So then they would be tied for division, because I don't have Denver losing again. So then it goes to AFC, and Little Koch is 9-1. Denver's 6-3. That's where Little Koch is going to hold on to the division by a tiebreaker. So I do have Little Koch sticking it out in the as the division winner, but I do not have him holding on to the 2 seed. I see.
Who do you think's going to take the 2 seed?
Nope. The Bengals will be the 2 seed. Sorry. So I do have the 2 seed, and I do have the Ravens holding on as the 7 seed by that tiebreaker, and kind of getting backdooring into the playoffs, I guess you would say, even though he's not 100% plugged in. So this is correct matchup, and I definitely have the Bengals winning.
Sticking it in, pulling it out, coming back door. All these, I'm too middle school for some of these things. I need to grow up. I apologize up front. It doesn't matter.
Just go ahead and say the Bengals hold on and keep it PG for you.
Look, we got to have a little fun here. 3 versus 6. Madden is showing Chiefs, which I'm so proud of our guy, Shocks fan. Like, he's such a good dude. And but Denbrew, the champion, the man in the AFC, who's really just kind of taking a hold of the AFC. He's sitting right there at 6. As much as I love what Shocks has done, if there is a second hottest team, the Browns would have to be in that conversation. I like the Browns in this one. Guys, what do you see in your 3-6 matchup, and who wins those games?
I definitely have the Chiefs as the 3 seed, even though they're like the 5th best team in the AFC. The Bills and Browns are going to Bills and Browns are going to hold on to those wild cards spots. So, and then you have the Jets and the Bengals. So the Chiefs are the 5th best team in my book, because I do have the records based right now. I think that is correct. Kobe at top, Bengals, Denver, in that 2 spot, and then 3 spot, and then I do have Bill in the 4th spot right now. But yeah, so Chiefs in the 5th spot, like overall, but they're gonna hold on to the 3 spot based off of the 2 wild cards in the division, how that plays out. And then, as I said, I think the 5th spot is going to be the Browns at the end of the day. So I have the 3-6 being the Bills and the Chiefs, and then I have Bill winning that game.
It'd be a fun matchup too.
So I'll just get this. I want to nail 2 birds with 1 stone. The 2 games that are up there are being flipped. I have the Texans being the 3 seed, the Bills being the 6 seed, the Chiefs being the 4 seed, and the Browns being the 6 seed.
Trey with his hot takes today. Well, then who's winning those games?
I have Roger getting in there because he has the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, beating them in the season. And I don't know. It depends on what bill we get. If we get the bill that showed up versus me, it's going to be very easily a Bills win. If we get the bill that's, shaky, which he tends to be in the playoffs when it's a big game, I don't know if he considered this a big game. But if that's the case, it leaves Roger in his hot streak all the ability to walk in and honestly steal a win.
Interesting. Well, get the presses ready. Get the presses ready. I think like with the Bills, and I'm sorry, Nate, I cut you off. I got excited.
Go for it.
The Bills, his schedule is tough. He's got the Jets, week 16, week 17. He has the 49ers. I think he loses both of those games, and so
what a way to end a season.
Yeah, and that's going to affect his overall seeding into the playoffs. He does have the Titans, who have played better as of late that I've noticed on the stream. So at week 18, so I mean, you don't ever always want to count any win, but I feel like that's one that Bill should win. And but again, like I said, the Titans have been a little bit better opponent as of late that I've seen. So I'm having that 3rd seed, and Roger, don't get mad at me because I'm trying to jinx your season or anything, but the Texans coming in at number 3, and then facing off against the Bills at the number 6 seed there in that position in the playoffs. And then I have Mr. Roger getting his first OMFL playoff win in the first round of the playoffs against Mr. Bill and the Bills.
I was just going to comment that I told the guys before we started, having so many of us, I knew that the show was going to run long, but let's attempt to keep it at an hour. We're at 54 minutes and 40 seconds, and we haven't even got out of the wild card. We still have a whole nother matchup. I love Roger. He is my dude. We'd be besties if he lived near me, but there's no way that Raj, I don't think, can beat Bill and his Bills, but we'll have to see. So we've kind of touched on a couple of these. You, Trey and Maniac, have these kind of flip-flopped here, so we'll just throw it out there. Let's go ahead and talk about 4 or 5 on my screen. Go ahead.
I want to mark one thing, and you guys can call me crazy, but I got Bill upsetting Kobe this week. And I understand that he has a tough schedule, but I think he beats Kobe this week and then loses to Dumani, beats the Titans, and that's why I say he holds on to the 5.
Are you confident? Are you confident enough to put your money where your mouth is and put that bet on Gold Sheet? That's the real kick, because anybody can come on here and make bold statements like that when there's no repercussions. Put your money where your mouth is. Put some money on it.
D Money must have hit you up for that, huh?
No. I had no clue you were going to say that until you said it. And I was like, all right, put your money where you don't have to put all your money. I'm not saying go all in. I'm just saying put some money on it.
I'll put $100 on it.
All right, there you have it. He said it right here. All right. I got Texans 4, Bill 5. I think this would be a really fun matchup. And now all this Roger love, I feel like you guys are starting to tug at my heart here. I'm sticking with the brain, though. I like Bill and his Bills. He's proven that he is one of the top dogs in the AFC. So basically, Hurt, you're the only one left to talk about this game.
Yeah, so I mean, I have Roger, like, having just a tough way to get in, and I think I had him on his hot streak, and I said it before. I think the slow start really set him back and kind of like put him in a tough spot to grab a playoff spot, and I know that he's holding on to it now. But I just think when it comes down to it, since he got Jonathan Taylor back, he's got Michael Thomas still, I think he beats Priest, I don't even know who he plays this week, I can't remember. But he wins this week and wins against Priest, and then obviously easily could beat me and finish out the year 3-0. Roger and I were just talking last night about our game, and I just feel like he could easily slip up, being that he did lose, I think, the Vikings or something like that. And that's where I'm afraid of, is the pressure that gets to Roger. I think he is 1 year away from really making some noise, because I think he's going to bring his team next year, like all the success he's had, and add to it. And I think Rodgers' playoff run next year for me. I think, like I said, I think if it was not like a 1-6 start, maybe a 1-4 start, that would have been different. But just 1-6, that's a pretty big hole. So I got the Colts playing the Browns here, and I got the Browns beating the Colts in the first round.
I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. The Texans are an 11-win season next season. I really like what he's doing. I can't wait to see Raj turn things around. We'll see if I'm right or not. I'm going to go ahead and mark the tape, and we'll put it on YouTube, and we'll find out together. All right, here we're going to take a break. One more, or actually two more, Tony Bono. And then when we come back, we'll break down each divisional matchup, go to one more Tony Bono, pick our championship games, then get to the OMFL Bowl matchup. And we're going to have to save the mailbag. So if you put in a mailbag, it's okay. We still have another show next Monday. We will not be done with the playoffs. So we'll pull out the mailbag next week as we break down the playoff games that have been played, maybe even take a quick look back. We'll see if all the guys can come back. It'd be fun to have this crew for the entire playoff run. We'll be right back. Tony Bono, he's coming up next.
And welcome back to the OMFL News right here on Press Pass Live. And let's get to a little segment I call the fantasy football of the OMFL, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This week's ugly performance in the Fantasy Football League, Christian McCaffrey, CMC as we know him, for the Panthers. Running back only scored 4 points for fantasy football. Those of you who had him starting are probably not liking your week this week. All right, the bad. Not as bad as the ugly, but it's still bad. We're going to move over to Chicago, and Justin Fields, and the quarterback of those Bears, only scored 6 points in the Fantasy Football League. You are probably not a happy camper this week. But those of you who had the good guy this week, and that's right, the good side of the Fantasy Football League, Mr. Tyreek Hill, 38 points scored in this week's Fantasy Football League of the OMFL. So those of you who had Tyreek Hill starting, give yourself a pat on the back. All right, stay tuned. Go back to Press Pass Live with Nate. We'll catch you in a bit.
maniac, or Tony Bono, my apologies, with the good, the bad, the ugly of OMFL fantasy football. Let's stay in the AFC, okay? Let's see how quickly we can get through these divisional rounds. Here, I'm going to call it like I see it. You call it how you see it. We're going to talk about the secondary matchup first. So not who the number one seed is playing. Whoever your secondary matchup in the divisional round is going to be. For me, that is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Buffalo Bills. What a fun game this is going to be. But I'm staying with the red hot Cincinnati Bengals. I'm pulling for Little Koch. He's such a good dude. Quiet dude. You really got to pull at his nipples, so to speak, to get him to say anything. But if you get him to, you realize he's a really good dude. Anybody who's a friend of Denver is a good dude. I'm pulling for Cincinnati. I'm pulling for Little Koch to get to the divisional round and to win that game against the Buffalo Bills. That's my matchup. That would be a 2 versus 5. Who do you guys have in that secondary matchup in the AFC?
My 2 versus 5, I have the Bengals facing the Browns, and I have Denver, Mr. Playoff himself, getting the win and advancing on to the AFC Championship game.
And it's hard to debate, right? He's Denver.
Yeah, and like I said, he's playing good football and he's hot and it's the right time. And I think, like I said, I just as much as I want Little Koch to continue his success, and he's been there all year. I just can't go against the guy that's done it 4 times and made the OMFL Bowl 4 years in a row.
My bad, Trey. I know. I said we got to hurry up, and then I'm the one that's making it go longer.
I've got a 3 versus 5 matchup with Roger and the Texans versus Denver and the Browns, and this is where my miracle run for Roger ends. I've just got to go with Denver.
Okay, I've got if I've got my math done right, because I'm kind of working off of day leagues and my own. I've got the Bengals versus the Browns coming in, and the Browns obviously with Dibru just such a tough game, and then plus these guys know each other. I think it'll be close. Because it's always like when you play against a friend, like they know like your tendencies and different things like that. So, but I think this game will be close. But I do think that Denver, with his hot take and hot way to end the season, is going to come in and pull out this victory.
I wish I knew my own tendencies. Let's talk about the number 1 matchup. We got Jets at number 1. I'm personally going to have this against the Browns because I think, I called Cincinnati against Buffalo. I think the Browns are going to win that matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs because, well, Nate's head is spinning right now, so I got to keep it super simple. Browns, Jets, guys. That's a hell of a fun matchup, 1 versus 6. I know that's just the way it plays out for me. You guys have the Browns in a different space. I would pay to watch this matchup. Rematch of Super Bowl 102, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was season 102, right, Trey?
We're 104 now, so yeah, it was 102.
Yeah, 102. So Jets, Browns. I don't know, man. The Browns are hot. They're getting hot, but man, Trey, listen to me. Kobe and his Jets, he just knows how to make plays. I'm going with the Browns, though. Browns in an upset to beat your number 1 seeded Jets. Who do you guys have the Jets playing?
I've got the Jets playing the Bills, and I think Bill has made his momentum, in the last couple of years and has been a part of all of this. Like I said, I had him beating Kobe this week in the regular season, but Kobe gets it back when it matters and beats him in the divisional round to advance on to play Denver in the AFC Championship game.
I've got Cincy and the Colts coming in to go up against the Jets, but I just think that the Jets have Sauce Gardner to lock up Michael Thomas, and I think that will give Kobe the ability to focus primarily on Jonathan Taylor and shutting him down, and I've got Kobe moving on to play Denver.
That was a fun game. I know that the Jets came out on top this Sunday, I think it was yesterday. That was a really fun game, and Michael Thomas is making some catches where I was like, how in the I don't know how either one of these guys are making these plays, but it came down to a late user interception where Cincy was trying to go over the top to the left side, and Kobe was able to make it up. He was burnt, but he was able to make up the speed and make a play to kind of wrap that game. It was a good game. That would be a fun matchup.
Yeah, in fact, I quoted wrong a while ago. It was actually the Bengals and the Texans because the way the seating and the way I had them. So the Bengals and the Texans, of course, the Bengals would come out on top. And this is where seating is important because, if the Bengals are playing the Browns, then the Bengals don't make it out of that second round. But I actually had the Bengals making the championship game because they're going to be playing the Texans. The 2 would be versus the 3. And then the 5 versus the 1 would be Kobe and the Jets versus Denver and the Browns. And as much as I want to say that the Browns, personally, I think these two match up really good together. They just seem to have every game that I've watched these two play, it's close. It's always close. But I actually have Kobe and the Jets pulling this out, which would bring your Jets versus Bengals championship game.
Well, there we have it. AFC. There's going to be some fun matchups. Now, we got to go talk about probably a bunch of games we don't really want to talk about because a lot of us over here in the NFC.
I want to talk about these games. Let's talk about them.
We're going to talk about the secondary game. So for me, that is going to be the New Orleans Saints versus, oh God, I hope this doesn't really happen, the Dallas Cowboys. I will be sick if that game happens. Dallas will get a free win over to the NFC Championship. I've got nothing to say there. I don't want to face that guy. He is red hot. He does all the things that I don't do really well, so I would have the Dallas Cowboys winning that one. What do you guys think about the secondary matchup over here in the NFC?
I got Saints and the Lions in the matchup because, like I said, Trey holds on and you advance on. So I got the Lions versus Saints, and I think personally this would be a very fun game to watch. I do have the Saints winning based on their defense, making a play late in the game, as Mr. Tony Bono has called it twice this season while I've been watching the Saints.
Yes.
Marcus Lattimore is going to have a pick in the fourth quarter, and bang, Marcus Lattimore comes up with a pick in the fourth quarter. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. Saints, Lions, epic game. OMFL Classic. Lattimore gets a game-changing pick late, and the Saints hold on to win.
Before Trey chirps in here, that guy's an offensive mastermind. He just is, and he is super crafty, and I put him in the same category as a lot of the really great offensive-minded coaches here. They just know how to call the right plays at the right time, and even when you face a really good defense, which I think I've built, they make more plays, and I just don't want to face a 99 speed Williams either.
I also agree with you, but sorry, Trey. I'm going to pop the bubble because it's playoff time, and Trey in playoff time is not Trey in the regular season. So that's where the pressure gets to him, and Marcus Lattimore comes up. It is a close game. Like I said, OMFL Classic. I just think the pressure gets to him. Rookie quarterback, playoffs, playing against the defense that's been game-changing all year. Marcus Lattimore gets that late game pick and seals the win for the Saints.
Trey, I gotta let you respond because my pick's totally different.
Well, I think his is too. Did a moose run Trey over? What happened over there in Canada?
Oh, I've been muted this entire time.
Yes, you have.
Okay, first off, who's Marcus Lattimore?
And you'll find out.
Oh.
Wow.
No.
I mean, go ahead and ask, but you're gonna find out.
No, it's not that I'm disrespecting him. Who is he? Because it's Marshawn Lattimore, not Marcus.
That's fair. That's fair.
Marcus Marcus. I'm thinking Marcus Williams. They got so many damn DBs in New Orleans. I lose track. CJ Gardner-Johnson. You got Tyrann Mathieu. You got Marshawn Lattimore. It doesn't matter. Put him out there. Lattimore gets the pick. You know who I'm talking about.
But Nate's already talked about it. If he's getting the game against Wayne, he's pretty much just conceded. So, Wayne.
Well, my picks for this would be the Saints being the second seed, and then my coming out of this would be the Commanders number 3, and I do have the Commanders winning this. But Mr. Nate, if my MVP pick of the season does have more than one interception this game, I think you're going to pull out a tremendous upset. But I do think Penguins gets back to rolling, controls the clock, controls the ball, doesn't make the mistake, and pulls out the win to get to the next round.
So many people pulling out in these playoffs. Let's talk about the number 1 seed, San Francisco 49ers. I don't care who they match up against here. The options feel endless. And whether it's Dwayne and his Cowboys, whether it's Penguins and his Commanders, whether it's Trey and the Lions, I think all of those games are really good. And I'm kind of nervous if some way, somehow I end up having to play him in these playoffs, because both Dwayne and the 49ers owe me all kinds of tail whoopings because of what happened in season 101, I think it was. And so I do not want to revisit that. I want to keep that as a good, happy memory for myself. But in this matchup, I personally would have, it would be the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, it would be the Dallas Cowboys. No, I think I screwed it up a while ago. So I would be playing the Lions. Either way, I'd have the Lions winning because San Francisco would get the highest seed. This is why I don't get paid to do this. Dallas would then go face the 49ers. It doesn't matter. I still like the Lions to beat me no matter what. San Francisco, Dallas would be a hell of a good game. The Dallas Cowboys are red hot. D-Money has just continued to do what he does well and show almost no weaknesses there. Ooh, coin flip. What happened? Sign me up for this one. We're calling that game some way, somehow. Hopefully. It's probably going to be played at like 7:30 on a Wednesday morning or some random crap like that with these two guys and their crazy schedules that they sometimes have. I would just have to go with the home team only because he's the home team, but that really could go either way. I like the San Francisco 49ers to win that one. What do you guys see happening over here at the number 1 seed 49ers?
I mean, it's D-Money. He's got the money sign in his name. Take it to the bank. He wins. Doesn't matter who plays him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the nickname for a reason, D-Money. I mean, it's just, I think if there's anybody on the NFC side that can play D-Money to the core end and possibly upset him, it's Dwayne. I mean, Dwayne is just, he's been a machine.
The Bears. The Bears are the only team that have beaten him in the last 2 years.
No, well, I don't have the Bears making the playoffs, though.
You're right. I agree on that.
So, but yeah, I mean, Dwayne, I think in this playoff, I think could give him a run for the money, and maybe he gets the lucky side of the Madden coin sometimes, and pulls it out. Here I go again, pulls it out. But the Cowboys, I do believe, would give him a run for the money, but the 49ers just it's D-Money.
And this is why I stayed silent till last, because nobody's been paying attention to the scheduling and out-of-town forms. It's very possible he ain't gonna be there.
Maybe. You're right.
If he's here, and how I have it, he's going up against me. I've had his number in the past. He's gotten me in this entire Madden cycle. I feel like it's going to go probably a similar way. If it's not, I'm cakewalking the computer.
Well, it's always interesting, but I like to call them as if everybody's going to be here, and we'll kind of pivot if it goes there. Before we go to the last Tony Bono show, I do want to break down.
Cakewalk the computer. I honestly don't even know if you cakewalk the
Hey,
computer.
We've seen it. Who was it that lost in the playoffs to
I'm
CPU?
going to tell you right now. I think you would get loosey-goosey and start throwing the ball, and his fucking DNs and DBs would be all over you. I'm just saying. You got.
That's one of those things that you like. You get in the third quarter and you're like, wait, what am I doing? I'm playing the CPU and I'm losing. Like, I got to get it together here.
And then it's too late.
It's always too late for Nate because oftentimes I do play the moments, which is an option here. If you got to play the CPU, you can play the moments. And every time I do it, I did it against the Steelers, I got to pull out some game-winning drive, even though I've played like 4 plays the whole game to win the game at the very end. And you're like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? I don't know what I'm doing with my life. All right, let's talk about AFC Championship. I have the Cleveland Browns versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Buddy versus buddy. I'd have to take the Browns in that one. That's where my miracle run of Little Koch would come to an end. I know, I'm picking with my heart over here. I just think Denbrew has been the strong guy in the AFC. He's on a hot roll again. He's rolling along, and I think we're going to see him make it all the way to OMFL Bowl number 104. What do you guys think about the AFC Championship?
I got the Jets versus the Browns. 1 versus 5 is my seeding. I do have the Jets pulling this one out just because the Jets are more of a, I'd say a dynamic offense, a little more potent offense, just from they can throw the ball. They have a little, passing game, but they got Breece Hall in the backfield. I think the loss of Nick Chubb changes Denver's way of being in the playoffs, and he's just going to run up against a team who is a good defensive-minded, coach. And I don't know that he has the running back. The games that I've been seeing, Deshaun Watson's throwing for 425 yards and 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. I just don't see that happening against Kobe. I think Kobe's secondary and the way Kobe can play. So I think the Jets squeak this out in a close game, epic battle, but Jets go to the OMFL Bowl.
I've got the Bengals versus the Jets and the AFC Championship. I just think Lil Koch has had a great season, comes in and makes a run for it, but the Jets and Kobe just too prolific on the offensive side, and he has a really good solid defense to boot, and like Hurt was saying, his rushing attack is just it's kind of turned next level. I think the last 8 weeks that I've watched the stats, so got to go with the nod with Mr. Kobe.
Trey is really good at this, so before Trey tells us who he thinks, he may already have this one ready. I have no clue what Trey's about to say, but he's usually good at these types of like ideas or stats or things that people aren't thinking about. If Kobe makes it, we might see a Kobe and the Jets versus D Money and the 49ers, which, if I remember correctly, in season 102, whatever that one that Kobe won, I think it was 102, he didn't have to play the 49ers because the 49ers were out of town. And some people wanted to put a little bit of an asterisk that he didn't play one of the top dogs in the end. So we might get a complete redemption story here. That would be fun.
Yep, Kobe was a 7th seed, got D-Money on a vacation as the 2 seed, and even then had the computers challenge him, but he still ended up winning it. I'm going to... I think most people would think I'd go with my friend Kobe on this one, but I'm not. I think he's salty about that 102. I think he wants to get the revenge back as best he can, and no better way than eliminate Kobe in the AFC Championship.
So it sounds like we got 2 Browns and 2 Jets in the AFC, representing the AFC in OMFL Bowl number 104. All right, let's talk about the NFC Championship game. I've got the San Francisco 49ers versus, the Detroit Lions. That's how it would work out from my side. So 1 seed 49ers versus the 3 seed Detroit Lions. Hopefully no CPU game to be aware of. That would be terrible to have a CPU NFC Championship game. It's happened, I guess, before. No, Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. I got to go 49ers. It hurts me a little bit to say, but the 49ers are just that. Same reason I went with the Browns on the AFC side. You go with the top dogs until somebody dethrones them. I'm taking the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, my NFC Championship game, I have the Commanders coming in the third seed, making it all the way down to the NFC Championship game. And then, of course, I have the 49ers beating the Cowboys to get there. This is going to be an intriguing matchup. I think if, again, this all relies on if Penguins gets back to what his former form was before he took off vacation. His front seven is just I don't know. It's a difference maker. I've just seen him put so much pressure when he was playing games in the regular season against Dwayne. Dwayne had like literally no time whatsoever to throw a pass or run the ball. And you could tell it was a frustration. If his team shows up like that against D-Money, we could see a upset, but it's not going to happen because it's D-Money, right? So he's got it. D-Money's got it figured out, and he'll make it to the OMFL Bowl here in season 104.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put the upset here, and I think Wayne has a point to prove. And last year I called it. He punched in the regular season. He punched the hole into the armor and got the win. I think he can do it again.
I got D-Money playing Nate in the NFC Championship game, and I just think as much as I hate to say this, I just think the name D-Money and playing D-Money and his track record gets to Nate's head, and Nate just tries to go conservative, and you can't do that. You do have to protect the ball, but you can't stay too conservative against D-Money. You have to take your shots and be effective and get those, put points up on the board. Taking the conservative route, you end up kicking field goals, and you just can't do that against D-Money. So I have a 31-17 win for the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Niners go on to play the Jets.
All good picks. There is your AFC, NFC representatives in OMFL Bowl 104. One more Tony Bono. When we come back, we'll pick our bowl winners. We'll tell you who we think is going to win. We're going to wrap up the show. We're going to save the mailbag for next Monday's show. We'll see if all these guys can come back. It'd be fun to keep the round table going just for the playoffs. I don't want to step on the toes of my friends Big Hurt and Cincyberg and Maniac, who have their own round table. And if you're not watching that, shame on you. Go watch that. It's a great show, and I love all the things that those guys are doing. We'll be right back. Tony Bono, number 3.
And welcome back to the OMFL News right here on Press Pass Live with Tony Bono. And let's get down to this segment. We're going to give a little love to those on the bottom end of the things here in the OMFL standings. The bottom of the barrel, guys. All right, it's back to the drawing board. And that's going to be the name of this segment right here. And we're going to start off the Jacksonville Jaguars 1-11, Atlanta Falcons 1-10, the Pittsburgh Steelers 2-8-1, Minnesota Vikings 3-9, Philadelphia 3-9, Tampa Bay 3-9, Tennessee 3-9, a lot of 3-9s, Las Vegas 3-8, Arizona 3-8, the Patriots 4-9, and the Chargers 4-7. Now all these teams have kind of a reoccurring theme here. They're all bad on defense, giving up a lot of points on defense, it seems. And so what can I tell you? This, you need to take a look at how you've been building your team, especially those of you that have kind of consistently stayed on the bottom. Those that are number 1 in your league, number 2 in your league, the Dwaynes, the D-Moneys. Hey, it's a copycat league. Start copying some of the things that those guys do with the roster moves. I think it'll go a long ways to help you in the end. And ultimately, you got to make this team fit your style. And so take those two things into incorporation, and maybe you'll see a little bit of a change. I'm looking for the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Buccaneers, and possibly the Falcons, and a slim hope for the Vikings. And I sure hope the Eagles can make a difference. But those of you that have been in the league for a while and you see these things happening consistently, time to start doing something a little bit different than it's been done in the past. Can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a new outcome. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back in top of things on this league and not just 2 or 3 guys running this thing all the time. All right, for the rest of you, that's it for this today on OMFL News. Back to Press Pass Live and Nate and the gang. We'll catch you next time. See ya.
There you have it, Mr. Tony Bono with our last OMFL News. Appreciate you, Maniac, for making the Tony Bono Show a part of Press Pass Live. Let's talk about OMFL Bowl number 104. I've got Browns. I've got 49ers. That would be a number 6 seed versus a number 1 seed. But let's be honest, the Browns aren't a real number 6 seed. They just got off to a rough start. And because my guy took shots at me about not showing enough love to our friends at the AFC, I'm taking the Browns. Get off my back, Denbrew. God, that hurts my jaw. I don't know why I just did that. I'm taking the Browns to win this one. Who do you guys have in the OMFL Bowl number 104 and who wins it?
I've got Denbrew versus Wayne, and I'm right there with you, man. I think Denbrew's out to prove a point that the AFC is compatible against the NFC. And I think he's going to make that point proven.
Well, I've got the 49ers and Mr. D Money facing Jets and Mr. Kobe. And you know what? I'm just going to live dangerously here. Instead of just going to the ledge, I'm just going to leap. I'm going to call it. Kobe is going to bring the upset of the century. D Money is going to be in shock. He won't know what happened, and Kobe's going to win this game, and he'll be your season 104 champion in the OMFL.
I got Kobe versus D Money, and I'm just going to say that I think Kobe obviously has had a great season and is playing some of the best football in the OMFL from a consistent standpoint. But there's no one that's more consistent than D Money. He's had 1 loss in the last 2 seasons from the regular season and playoffs.
Who was that? Who's that against? I wonder who that was against.
Yeah, listen, I every time I even.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
I think it was the Bengals, wasn't it?
No. Stop.
Was it the Lions?
No.
Come on, Hurt. Tell him who took down the king.
It was the Bears, even on our 7-7 shitty season.
I feel like there should be some Rocky music in the background.
Well, but I think, him only losing 1 game, and I think he just stays consistent and wins another OMFL Bowl. I do have it being a closer game than I think originally, but yeah, Niners win another one.
It's so funny before we wrap things up here, because I think we all went, but or did we miss anybody? No, we all went. Okay, just making sure. I had to do the math in my head here. I say that we try to keep the shows in an hour, right? That just feels like the right, let's keep it. If you look at the graphic, it gets to 1 hour and 10 minutes and just nosedives deep into the dirt of people who log off, and then it slowly kind of comes back and people kind of bob in and out. But there's so much to talk about here, and I appreciate these guys making time to be here. One final thought as we put a bow on the show here and get ready for season 104 playoffs, which we hopefully are at by the time we come back. If we're not at it, we will be right on the cusp of the playoffs by the time we get here next time. And when we come back, we will either break down the games that are happening or break down any kind of new thing. And we will definitely dive deep into the OMFL mailbag, which we have ready. And we'll bring that back for next week. So one final thought as we close things out. I'm just going to open it up as the round table that we've done all day. What do we think for one final thought?
My thought is we got 2 divisions here coming down to the playoffs that I think could play a major role in the playoffs. And as I said, the North could easily be added in, but the NFC East and the AFC South, those 2 divisions are going to be major factors because I have the Bengals and the Browns both in it. But the NFC East, we're probably going to see all 3 teams, but who gets the home field advantage? And then who are the other 2 that are wild cards? And I think that's going to be a big decision or whatnot takes place in this week's game between the Cowboys and the Commanders, and how much the Commanders can plug back in, diving right back into their season. And then the AFC South, as we said, all show Roger has every bit of chance to make his run. I personally just see him not having a slow start next season and making the push from the get-go. But I am interested to see if he can hold on, what kind of noise he can make in this year's playoffs.
Yeah, I just want to see Roger make the miracle run and prove everybody that when on point, he's one of the top guys in the AFC.
Did somebody kidnap me?
There it goes.
Oh, there we are. Those mute buttons, man. Those things are tricky.
I know, man. And of course, I'm getting older and I can't see the mute button. My final thought is, as guys that are here, and I just want to say this, be happy for what you have here in the OMFL. I'm in the Deuce and the TFL, and there's so many CPUs that we're playing, and you have a full league here. Invest in it. Be excited for what you have, because this Madden, I know it's been super terrible, but you have a great thing here. Nate, you've built a great thing, and I just want to say you guys appreciate it, enjoy it while you have it, because sometimes people get stupid and think there's greener pastures on the other side of the fence, and lo and behold, you figure out the hard way. And but anyway, I just want to plug that in and say that, because the OMFL is special and the grown folks community is special.
Thank you, Maniac. I appreciate that. I would say that everyone here has built this, and my closing thought was along the same lines, and it's just like, I love the content. A lot of guys are starting to like get on camera, or at least get on audio, and they're trying to put a little bit more into their streams, and it gives it a little bit more personality. Even if you're like Big Hurt, right? His face isn't on there right now, but you can hear his audio. It's just like, it gives your stream a little bit more personality, and that'll come with its own kind of bumps and bruises along the way, as we all have had to learn when we say things that we regret later on stream. But it just, that personality, that extra content, the show that Maniac, Cincy, and Big Hurt are doing. Like, I love that show. Trey has committed several seasons here now to Press Pass Live, so I'm not by myself, and I just love the content, and I think this extra level of engagement is what makes the OMFL different and special. The game is the game. I love the parity that we have. I love the new faces that we have in the playoffs, but at the end of the day, it is the content that makes this play special. Guys, my jaw is killing me. I'm gonna go drink a smoothie or something. I gotta get ready for Kevin not to kick me in the teeth tonight. We're gonna be playing at 9 p.m. Central Time. Come hang out with me, because when the chat is dead when I'm playing, I fall asleep, and I like it when you guys come give me a hard time. For Maniac, and for Trey, and for Big Hurt, for all the leadership here in the OMFL, thanks for hanging out with me. I love you. I appreciate you. You matter. Do me a favor. Smash the like button. I don't know why. It helps us out. It's not like we're trying to make a profession out of this and become live streamers, but it just is good to see the like buttons and determine, oh, people like this show. People like what we're doing. Guys, until we see you next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. Tell somebody that you love them. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Smash that like and subscribe.